You're watching The Angela Anderson Show, helping moms live their dream while taking care of their family. Like, follow, subscribe, and share. Let someone know The Angela Anderson Show is here. And now, live on set, none other than host extraordinaire, Angela Anderson.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Angela Anderson Show, where we help moms live their dream while taking care of their family. I am your host, Angela Anderson. This show is a result of a virtual summit that I hosted during the summer of 2022. It was called Get Your Life on Track, Walk in Your Purpose. The focus was on mothers who wanted to identify their purpose and live it fully while taking care of their family. For 14 days, I interviewed top speakers and influencers who shared information and useful tips that assisted mothers in finding their purpose, pursuing their goals, and living their dream, all while taking care of their family. There was such a popular demand for this type of content. So I created this talk show where I will continue to empower moms out there to see their value, understand their importance, and reclaim their identity. So, as a sequel to my first virtual summit, I'm presenting to you Get Your Life on Track with Courage, Walk in Your Calling. So, this summit will be right here on The Angela Anderson Show. So, after speaking with moms in every walk of life, the lack of courage is the barrier that is preventing many from achieving their goals and living their dreams. So we're going to dive right into that subject of courage, activating it, and overcoming fear. So today I have a very special guest with me, and her name is Lisandra Suarez. Let me tell you a little bit about Lisandra. So she is currently the CEO and founder of Life Unleashed, Life Leadership and Wellness Coaching. LLC. She's also a certified executive and life coaching business. Let me go back. She is the founder of Life Unleashed, Life Leadership and Wellness Coaching LLC, a certified executive and life coaching business, including human resources and organizational development consulting. As a seasoned professional, her career experience of 25 years plus years includes different roles all the way to senior level in corporate in various industries. As a certified coach and consultant, Lisandra helps individuals and organizations unleash their full potential with a focus on transitions, development, communication, leadership, confidence, and change management. Her signature process transforms individuals in and out of organizations to become unleashed, untamed, unfiltered, and undaunted. I love that. She encourages living by unlearning, or as she calls it, living unscripted. She has mentored young professionals, seasoned leaders, and other coaches with passion, guiding those who serves to strengthen, transform, and elevate their personal lives, leadership careers, and overall health and wellness beyond their own expectations. People that work with Lisandra walk away believing in their own power and with the tools to redesign their lives to their own truth and desires. Lisandra holds a bachelor's degree in business administration and human resources and a postgraduate certificate from Rollins College. She also holds SHRM SP credential, and those of us in HR, we know all about those credentials. She's a certified professional coach through IPEC and an associate certified coach with the International Coaching Federation. Positive, intelligent coach and a trained mediator, facilitator, and instructor. Lisandra's own story is one of overcoming adversity and transformation, taking her through so many transitions while she held strong to her goals and dreams. An avid fitness lover, proud mother, grandmother, and puffy mom. This is Lisandra Suarez. Everybody, as you can see, I have a well decorated speaker about to come on here. But before she comes on, we're going to go out for just a minute to our commercial. And when we come back, I will introduce to you on stage Lisandra Suarez.
Someone once said that life is a journey. Every now and then I convince myself that I have it all figured out. All of a sudden, life throws me a curveball and I find myself between a rock and a hard place. Through it all, the pervading theme is that God is constantly pursuing me. Just when I thought I knew God, He reveals Himself to me in a different way. I now realize that His purpose is to achieve a deeper level of intimacy with me, no matter what it takes. His main concern is the end result, which is to live with Him in eternity. He loves me that much, and the same holds true for you.
And that's Just When I Thought I Knew God, a 40-day devotional journal that I wrote and is now available on Amazon and in Kindle format. Because it is a journal, I do recommend that you get the copy that is not on Kindle, the one on Amazon, just so you can learn and grow as you go through that devotional. So before we went out to commercial, we were talking about Lisandra Suarez, and I'm going to bring to you this amazing woman. And here she is. Hello, Lisandra.
Hello, Angela. It's so good to see you and be here today.
So good to see you and that you're here also. Thank you so much for coming to the show. Um, you know, it's funny because what everyone does not know is that Lisandra and I used to work together years ago, and I'm talking about decades. For those of you who've been watching the show, you know that I have an HR background, and she and I started our careers early on, right?
Yes.
And it's interesting because we've grown in different directions, still utilizing our HR skills, but in a different capacity. And you know, Lisandra and I just reconnected, literally just reconnected. And when I was talking to her, everybody, I said, wait a second, I'm doing a summit. I need you on my show. I have to have you on my show so you can share with my audience just everything. I'm just letting you know, everybody, she's full of wisdom, full of everything. And we only have a 30-minute segment, so I'm going to be quiet. And, you know, Lisandra, I want to ask you, first of all, you know, tell us a little bit about your current profession and your, you know, what you're doing right now. And I want you to share your story. You know, did you always know that you were going to be this amazing coach? Not that you weren't amazing back then, right? But this,
Right.
you know,
I
all
know
of
that now.
Go ahead, talk to us.
Sometimes we have to go through life to realize how actually fantastic we are. And again, I know it's hard for us women sometimes to recognize who we are. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how fast forward in life I rediscovered what I have always known about myself, right? So but then again, years have to go by sometimes for us to see that. So currently I am an entrepreneur. I'm self-employed, which is something that I never thought I will do in my life. I always thought that I will rely on an employer to support myself, and in the past 10 years that has changed, and I'll tell you more about that. So I do life coaching, executive coaching, and also I work as a human resources and organizational development consultant. That's the gist of my business. Of course, I do so many other things that, again, I always thought that I will do one thing forever, which was human resources. I
Right.
even went to college for human resources and said, okay, here I am. This is what I'm going to do forever. Right?
Right.
As many of us do. We go to college and we say, this is what we're going to do. And then we go. I think I always knew what I was meant to do. And hear me out. I remember the first time that I was coaching, coaching somebody at an early age. I think I was 12 or 13. And I remember these two family members have bickering about something. You know, families can, we love each other, but then again sometimes we don't, right? And we're bickering
Right.
at each other. And I remember these two ladies going at each other, and I
Mm,
was sitting there watching both of them going back and forth, and I remember saying something, apparently something that had lots of wisdom for my age at
right.
that time. And they both looked at me and said, well, she's right. Why why are we doing this? And then I said, yes, of course. I was 12 or 13, and I kept talking, and they went ahead and started talking to each other instead of bickering and having an argument. And I remember that moment vividly because I was so proud of myself after that. I
Mm,
felt that I have helped them get to a place of dialogue and to a
yes.
place of being honest with themselves, and repair the relationship.
Hmm.
And for me, that was, I don't know, a moment that I can't forget. And I was 13, I'm in my 50s now. So I never forgot that moment.
Right.
I think that was the moment in which I knew I had to do that. Of course, HR, fast forward, became the thing that potentially I could do that with.
Right.
And again, it's not the right place for that, but that's what I thought. So I went into human resources. And of course, for all the moms out there that watch your show, I did not do the typical route of going to school and then creating a family. I went the other way around.
Yes.
I had my children early on, very young. And then
Hmm.
I went to school with my children in tow. And
Yeah.
quite often I took my children to school, and my
Wow.
professors were amazing, especially during the summers, how
Hmm.
that challenging that can be during the summer,
Right.
right? And I went to school for HR, did the HR thing, business, and I got my first job in college as an intern
Mm,
through one of the programs for the government, right? As an intern in the HR office, and I was filing paperwork.
right.
That's how I started filing paperwork. And I remember seeing the papers of all these professors
Yeah.
and amazing biographies. And
Mm,
I was so impressed by them, right?
right.
And I remember thinking, I want to be like them. I want to study hard. I want to be that person with all those accolades and education. So that was the
Mhm.
dream. That's where
Yeah.
the dream started. So my path was not typical. So I had
Right.
all these dreams, always dreaming about who I can be.
Right.
And that was the beginning. Of course, finished my bachelor's degree and decided to move to the United States. And
Right.
I was in Puerto Rico back then. I didn't
Right.
speak any English. So I moved to the United
Yeah.
States thinking, I am going to make my dream in the United States. That's where
Mm,
I want to go, right? So I come to the United States, and guess what? Silly me, and like every dreamer out there that I know watches your show, I thought, I'll learn English. It'll be fine. Well, it's not that easy. So I had to learn the language. But again, I think one thing that some of us do, I said, well, I learned it. I'll do
mm,
it. So I
right.
enrolled in a university in New Jersey, and I went and took like 3 or 4 classes. And they were hard classes. I couldn't understand anything. So I had to
Mm,
study double. Every day I had to go home and go over all the material all over again. But I
right.
passed my classes with straight A's, and I said, okay, it paid off.
Yeah.
Well, then again, as we all know, we're gonna go and try to get a job with in that place, in that industry and in that profession. And guess
Right.
what? It wasn't that easy. So years went by, and I had this beautiful degree, uh,
Right.
magna cum laude. I was thinking that I could do it, and I didn't get it. So I moved down to Florida. And that's when I met you.
Oh,
So I
wow.
met you during that transition in my life in which I was
Cool.
moving from New Jersey, waiting years, trying to make a career in HR, and I
Yeah.
couldn't. There was
Yeah.
many reasons for that. And then I come to Florida, and one person gave me an opportunity. I will never forget her name, um, because she was in HR. I
Hmm.
wanted to get into HR,
Yeah.
and my interview was horrible. I interviewed for an administrative assistant position.
Hmm.
And when I was done with it, she said, you didn't do quite well in that interview. And of course, right, you might think your ego gets in the way. Oh, exactly. And I said, oh, well, I said, you know what? Well, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. She said, well, I'm not done. She said, oh, okay. And she said, I'm still going to put you through. I'm going to put you through. And I said,
Wow.
okay. And she put me through and she said, listen, this is where you need to focus on in your
Mm.
interview. And this is what you need to do. You're trying too hard. I always remember that. She said, you're trying too hard.
Oh.
Just relax, go through the interview, and showcase what you know and what you don't know. Just do that.
Right.
So that gave me a little bit of faith, right?
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course, I went through the interview and I got the job. Admin assistant. I was so proud of myself. And
Wow.
then from that opportunity, I got into human resources. We got to know each other. So that
Yes.
was a crossroad. That's how
Yeah.
we got to know. And I remember you coming on board and
Yeah.
me being so impressed by you, right? I think I told you the story.
Yes,
Of
you
course,
did.
I was just being moved from the admin job into human resources. And shortly
Right.
after you came on board,
Right.
so I was
Wow.
early on in my HR career when that occurred, but I think it was a blessing looking forward now
Yeah.
to our paths and
Yeah.
how life had worked for both
Yes.
of us. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, I knew always that there was something that I admire about you
Oh.
through all those years. But then again, as you said, we separated, right? I
Yes.
left, got an opportunity still in hospitality. That's where we got to
Yeah.
know each other, and
Right.
it was my next level. And from there, around September 11, I got my management position, and
Mm-hmm.
from there, but it was a tough time back in September 11. I was the
Right.
last one hired, so I thought, goodness gracious, I might be the first one to go.
Oh,
So
wow.
the thing that I did, I went ahead and accepted to run two jobs instead of one.
Mm.
So I was the manager plus all the job of a coordinator. But I'm sure anyone can understand at that time, we were like, oh, we're not going to complain. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and that paid off too. And
Right.
that paid off too, because talking about dreams, I remember I still had dreams to keep growing in my career.
Yeah.
However, I didn't have the skills. I
Mm.
think I shared this with you. And reconnecting with you made me remember who I was back then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the work that I have done to become who I am today. And I'm happy of who I am today, but that wasn't always the case. That wasn't
Right.
always the case, right?
Yeah.
Then I remember receiving feedback and constructive criticism about my skills,
Yeah.
my communication skills, many things that I needed to work on to keep growing as a manager, as a leader of people.
Right.
And I remember that I heard that I needed to polish my ways if I
Mm.
wanted to become a leader of people, and especially in human resources. And I
Right.
didn't quite understand at that time what that meant.
Right.
But of course, after crying for a few days, right? Because that's what happens
Right.
when we
Right.
get that kind of feedback, which I appreciate now. It was the best thing
Mm.
that could
Yeah.
happen to me. I said, I have to do something about it. So I did,
Yeah.
because I had
Yeah.
dreams. And I
Right.
went ahead and did what I needed to do, got the classes, got everything. Of course, I had my children. My children were teenagers at that time. So I
Yes.
was raising children,
Mm.
carrying my own burdens of who I wanted to be, and
Mm-hmm.
they needed me a lot. And it
Yes.
doesn't matter what age they are, they need you
Kids need
always.
their moms. Yep.
Always. Mine are grown now. I
Mm.
have grandchildren, and they
Yes.
still need me, and in a different way, but they do.
Yep.
Those years, right? I remember feeling like I was pulled in so many directions.
Mm-hmm.
So many directions, but the dreams were there. No, I have to do this. So I kept working on that. And little by little, all the opportunities started showing up. And I moved
Yes.
to another job, more responsibilities, began traveling for the organization. Then at
Mhm.
some point, and I do know this happens to many of us women, trying to
Yeah.
do it all, I got burnt out.
Yeah.
Um, my health declined quickly.
Right. Right.
Um, everything didn't, things were not working as they were working before. So
Yes.
I found myself saying, I need to stop. And
Mm.
I
Yeah.
stopped here. For a
Yeah.
year, I stopped and took a break, then
Hmm.
came back, changed industries,
Right.
and kept working, working, working,
Yep.
raised my children. They left the home, right?
Yeah.
All that happened. And I found myself here at this point of my life, living something that I dreamt, but I never thought could be possible. And
Wow.
that's in a nutshell what
I
has
love.
happened in the past. I think it's been 2 decades, 24 years for us since we
Yeah.
saw each other the last time.
Yeah. As I sit there and listen to you, Lisandra, and a lot of that story I did not know. I never knew, especially the backstory before we met, because when we met, it was like all about business because we were both learning, at the time. And, um, you know, just some of the things that I just heard you say that resonated with me. And just for the moms out there, when you were 12 years old, you had to retrospectively consider this, right? And a lot of times, ladies, and by the way, we have gentlemen in the audience as well, because I do have listeners who are not moms and they still glean from this, okay? Learn from it. A lot of times we have to think back and and remember where we first saw our talent, our gift,
Mhm.
and you said, age 12, I was sitting there and you know what, I was trying to make sense of this. And it's like, that's part of you, that's part of you that was like a waiting to blossom, to grow into what you are now, who you are now. And it was always you. Remember, you said that it was
Yes,
always you.
yes,
And a lot of times we have these hidden talents and abilities, and they're just waiting to be unleashed. You see what I did there?
yes. Love it.
and, and it's I love when you talked about that, and then you gave us the progression of how you just went from transition to transition, always holding on to your dream, always holding on to your dream. And a lot of us have that dream inside. Some of us, unfortunately, give it up, but we're here to encourage you not to give up on your dream,
Correct.
because at some point that dream will come to fruition. You just have to work at it. As Lysandra was saying, it's like, I worked hard. Okay, I did it. Like, you learned the English language. That is difficult. You took your kids to class with you. That is difficult. I know of some moms that did the same. That's hard, but you weren't going to let any obstacle get in your way. So I commend you on that. Um, and that doesn't even surprise me what I know about you. I'm like, what, this is a bad chick right here. Like, I love it. I love it. Um, but let me ask you something.
Mhm.
Yeah. As we're talking about courage, and this whole summit is focused on that, at any moment during that time or even now, did you ever feel afraid? Do you ever feel afraid? And what do you do with that fear?
Okay, I'm gonna breathe for a moment because what I'm about to say might surprise many people. I'm always afraid.
Hmm.
I have always have some level of fear in me, and that could be because maybe I was living in survival mode all
Wow.
the time. I live
Mhm.
my life in survival mode, right? So that's a story for another show. But that was my reality. My reality was that I was surviving.
Yeah.
Most of my life, I live in survival mode. And that doesn't mean, and quite often I hear people that, okay, so you had a hard life. Not necessarily, I did. But
Right.
you don't have to have a hard life, meaning you don't have to suffer because you're in poverty to really to be in fear
Right.
or to be afraid. Quite
Right.
often, people that have it all, seemingly,
Yes.
right, have it all, still feel fear and
Yeah.
are afraid of something. Well, I
Yeah.
was always afraid. So, what I can tell you is I still feel that is something that lives inside of me. Every time I'm going to do something new, I start judging myself. I start thinking, why, right? Like it is just the way it is for me. And also, every time I say, remember, you have done this over and over, you have felt this over and over, and you keep doing it over and over. So it's a constant reminder to myself that yes, I'm human. I'm going to feel fear. I'm going to feel afraid. And it is up to me to keep walking into whatever comes my way. Because for me, I believe, right? This is my belief system, and I hope it helps anyone out there. Um, I believe that if God brings you to it, He
Yes.
will bring you through it.
Talk about it. Yes.
And
Yes.
it doesn't matter how afraid I am, there's
Hmm.
a reason why the opportunity came my way.
Hmm.
I might see it very big,
Yeah.
but as you said before, perhaps I do have the talent.
Mm.
Perhaps it's part of my calling, which is something I believe in too. I
Yes.
believe that whatever you call out for and is for you, you're going
Yeah.
to see these opportunities, but I believe they're going to make you feel some sort of way,
Yes.
afraid or, a little cautious. And I have learned over the years that every time I feel that is not necessarily bad,
Right.
it's something that I need to explore. And I
Yes.
use exploration as a way to push through that feeling of fear that comes quite often. I am
Right.
not going to stand here and say it doesn't happen. It
Right.
happens. So it's a
It
tough
happened.
question to answer, but I wanted to answer that very honestly, because it's just the reality.
Yeah. And transparency is golden. That's how we relate to other people. It's not all a bed of roses all the time. And I just like the way that you put a spin on the aspect of fear. A lot of times it is viewed as something negative because it's scary and this and that, but you used it to fuel your passion, and to keep you going, regardless of what circumstance you were facing, or wherever you were. Fear was actually something that lit the fire under you. And um, that's the whole essence of courage, right? You
Mhm.
know, doing it, experiencing it, and realizing, okay, I can do this. I might still feel fear, but now I have courage. I could do this. I could do this.
Yes.
Um, yeah, that's deep on so many levels, and just um, encouraging, at least for me, and hopefully for our listeners out there, I'm sure. Um, but Lysandra, tell us about Unleashed. Tell us about this program. I want our listeners to hear about it, and to know how to actually get in contact with you.
Well, Life Unleashed was a moment in time that I was very afraid. I started, and people might not even believe. And again, I always say, when God brings you to it, He brings you through it. I
Yes.
remember being a little bit bored about my career in HR, because I have been done it already by 20 years. So I was like, okay, what else? What else? This is getting boring.
Right.
and and then I asked my former boss, and again, I appreciate many people that came into my life at the right time, women and men. There was women that believed in me, and there was men that helped me through, and helped me carry all those dreams, because they knew. So I remember this boss that I said, I'm a little bored. I know I have this position. I want more. And she said, what do you want? And then I said, I want coaching. I think I want to do coaching for people. So, long story short, she said, sure, go ahead, look into programs, and then I'll help you. And I was like, what? So, I remember walking into the restroom of that restaurant that day. And this is something I haven't shared with many people. And there's this mirror in the restaurant, in the restroom. And it says, you are the best thing that can happen to anyone.
Wow.
And I
Oh,
looked at that, and that just had just happened, and said, huh, Okay. So at that moment, what I'm saying, for me, that was like, this is the right path.
Yeah.
When you become a coach, right, is a
Yeah.
person that is guiding others in one way or another to
Mhm.
reach some potential that they have, because that's what I believe, right?
Right.
And I said, so that's what I want to do. So I went home, started researching, and 6 months into the coaching program, I'm sitting there. I said, what is the name of my business? What name will that be? And I remember that all my life going through survival mode and pushing through the fears, I always felt like I was caged. I always
Mm,
felt that I was behind bars. I always remember feeling that something was holding me back.
right.
So I said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to help people unleash themselves
Mm,
in every way. And that's how Life Unleashed, Life Leadership and Wellness Coaching was born, which is, as I mentioned before, executive coaching, human resources consulting. And now I'm having this time in which I created, like, about a couple of months ago, a Moments of Wisdom newsletter that comes out every month on the first Monday of the month, in which I share that, Moments of Wisdom. And that's a dear name that a former colleague of mine said, every time I come to your office, you give me so much wisdom. So it's been with me for years. So I decided to use it in my newsletter. And
yeah.
I'm working now, for early 2025, to create a cohort of women in which I'm going to work them through mental fitness and how to live their lives. And again, going through that transition and things, and how to push ourselves mentally,
Yeah.
right? In with fitness, on how
Right.
to keep doing whatever it is, the dreams, the goals, the desires, for ourselves, our families, marriages, kids, whatever it is, in a
Yeah.
way that is mentally healthy. So that's what I'm working on, and I'm very, very excited about all of that. It is a dream. It is a dream come true for me, and I'm very, very happy.
I love that. And that is beautiful. And we're going to put some more information about that, not just the banner that went across the screen there, but so that way you can get in touch with Lisandra for more information, or if you want to um, register or enroll in this program. So, any last words for the moms out there? What would you say to someone who wants to, you know, live their dream, and someone who might be afraid of uh, of actually stepping out, or maybe someone who's already stepped out but they're just like paralyzed or stuck? What would you say?
Well, oh, wow. This is what I will say. There's no better time to do anything but now.
Hmm.
Simple. There's no better time to do anything but now. So go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. Sometimes we make it bigger than what it is. And if I go back to any experience that I have had that I made it seem so big, I remember just taking one step. At that moment, I said, it's the right time. It's now.
Yeah.
And I did it. And that has made a bunch of differences in anything that I have done in life. So just go
Beautiful.
for it. It's now.
Beautiful. And so that is it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're out there, just go for it. Just do it. Just do it. And I just want to thank you, Lisandra, for being a part of my show today. I'm so glad that we reconnected, and I'm so glad that you're a part of this, what I feel so passionately about. So thank you for being on my show.
Thank
And
you.
oh, sure, sure. And everyone else who's out there, thank you for watching. For those of you who have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I need you to go out there and do that. Just click the subscribe button, and you will be notified each time this show streams, specifically throughout this summit that we're having. And we are on every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you haven't subscribed, as I said before, do it now. I also stream on LinkedIn. And if you are on my Facebook profile page, you will see that there as well. So definitely want to stay connected to keep you informed and keep you encouraged. But until next time, I just want to say again, thank you for watching. And Lisandra, thank you for coming. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, thank you for watching the Angela Anderson Show. I hope you learned something today, and I hope you find it useful to you. I want to ask you something. Have you ever wondered if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you were called to do in life? A lot of times we hear, as moms, so many voices, the voices of our children, a spouse if you have one, our friends, our family, even the own voice that we have in our heads. But how do we know if that is the voice that we're supposed to be following? That's why I designed Hearing the Voice of God for Moms. This program is specially designed for you so that you can not only identify your purpose, but also receive the clarity you need to walk in your calling. So that's why I want you to reach out to me. I have this coaching program for you, and all you have to do is schedule an appointment with me and find out if this program is for you. www.chatwithcoachangela.com. Again, it's called Hearing the Voice of God for Moms, designed specifically for us. So that way we can take the courage and walk in our calling. So go ahead and schedule your appointment. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you this week.